Hello lovely people, my first review of a Caron fragrance. It's the first Caron I owned. Today I will be doing my review of Le Troisième Homme by Caron. That light is very annoying, you can't even see the label. Or otherwise known as the third man, sometimes known as number 3. A couple of reasons from I believe the name was, or the fragrance was inspired by the movie, the Orson Welles movie, The Third Man. It is also incidentally the third Caron fragrance that was marketed to men, specifically to men. First being Pour un Homme, second being Yet Again, and this one, Le Troisième Homme. So, the reason that I bought this as my first Caron, and this was a blind buy, and I'll say right off that one of the reasons I blind bought it is because these Carons, these masculine ones, can be had at amazing prices. Basically, if you look on FragranceNet or Fragrance X, I think I got mine from Fragrance X, 125 mil, I believe. Eau de Toilette. This was released in 1985. So the reason it was a relatively safe blind buy for me was because it was pretty cheap, relatively cheap, and I had read some glowing reviews by some forum posters that I have a level of respect for in terms of their taste and their knowledge of perfume. So it got me intrigued because I already knew about Pour un Homme's status as a classic men's fragrance and the cult following that Caron Yet Again has. So the third man intrigued me because it was less talked about. So I went out and bought it. Now I'll get right into it because I best describe it. This opens up with such a bright, strong citrus opening. It is mainly, to me, lemon, but it's mellowed out with probably some sweeter citrus like orange or bergamot, but the lemon is prominent. Then the rest of the fragrance is dominated by spice, and in particular clove. Now, I'll say right off the bat that if you're not a fan of clove in fragrance, you are unlikely to be a fan of this fragrance. About a year ago, I wasn't that crazy about clove dominant fragrances. But over the last 6 months, I've just really grown to love them. Anyway, so it's a citrus opening. The mids are mainly comprised of spices, clove. There is lavender here, but the lavender is very much more in the background as opposed to a lavender forward fragrance like Pour un Homme. And because of the way this fragrance is structured and what it smells like, like people describe it as spicy woody or even fougere or chypre. To me, that kind of really doesn't matter. What I will say is that it has lovely development from the citrus opening into the spicy heart, and then the dry down, which I've got over here, the dry down is very mossy and it's basically an oakmoss base. There's supposed to be vetiver here. The vetiver, to my nose, is not really prominent at all. It's mainly oakmoss. So look, the bottom line is it's a very simply composed fragrance. It's beautifully balanced, and I love the way it develops. The criticisms of it are that it could be for some people. Look, if you don't like clove, that's for starters. For some people, this could seem quite dated. But I'll tell you, when I sprayed this on earlier, it did remind me of something that I smelled probably last year, and I can't do a side to side, but if there are any fans of Amouage's Bracken Man, I would urge you to get your nose on this, because this reminded me of Bracken Man, although not the same. From my memory, Bracken Man had an even stronger clove note in there. That was basically a fougere structure as well. But to me, you know, like this is kind of a shapeshifter. It opens up like an eau de cologne. It transitions into kind of fougere and then ends up smelling more like a chypre. This predates Bracken Man by over 30 years and is a fraction of the cost of Bracken Man, and to my nose smells as good. So not for everybody. I actually love this. At the very moment of the three Carons that I have, this, Pour en Homme, and yet again, this still is probably my number one of the three, although I have been really enjoying Pour en Homme when I've worn it. I'll do reviews of those at another time. Le Troisième Homme by Caron. If you're a fan of any of the things I've described in this video, you should try and sample it. And you know, if you like taking risks with blind buys, it's a good one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.